you know, when you text me your highlights, I'm like, dude, again, it's not just luck, right? He didn't luck out and find like his cousin's aunt didn't have a $2 million annuity that he just moved over into an FIA and all of a sudden he's on the leaderboard looking like he's crushing. Josh is selling apps every single day and has, I don't know what, 40 appointments a week. He's continually got on his books to move at. So hello, everybody. Grady Polson here, Family First Live America. Beyond excited to have Josh Lockhart on with us, who has submitted. It hasn't issued yet, but you know, it's coming. Over $200,000 in IUL premium in the past 3 weeks. Probably looking to. What do you think you're going to issue this month, Josh?
In the month of May or June? May, probably 50.
And June?
June, we're going to say 150.
150 in June. So, guys, this is the call where you learn from someone who is making it happen. And it's not just, you know, it's not just kind of a brute force. Josh articulates these products better than most people I've ever heard. And I've interviewed a lot of people. I've talked to a lot of agents. I've seen a lot of presentations. And the way he helps educate the client on the value of this and illustrates it is something that people aren't doing to the level that Josh is at this point. So why are you here? You're here because you're excited to learn and you're ready to learn how to take your presentation to the next level, to the top, where you can present something that is an incredible product. I mean, you can just show someone a 5 bullet point list of an IUL versus a 401k, and they're going to go, well, this makes sense, right? But then once you get into it, how are you building complete and utter fierce belief that this is where a family is going to now put their money for the next 10, 20, 30 years, that then is going to be available to them to pay them out tax-free retirement income. And the way Josh illustrates that is one of the best I've ever seen. And I'm just excited for you all to be on here to learn from him and him to get to kind of, you know, flex a little bit and show what he's created and just beyond proud of you, bro. So I'm gonna pass it to you if you want to. I always love to, you know, you give a quick little, you know, 30, 90-second intro on you and your incredible partner you have that supports you and watches those beautiful girls every day while you get to do what you do. And so I'm a pipe down, let you take over for a little bit.
That's the truth. Well, let me say this. Next time we do this, I'm coming out. I'm flying out. We're gonna sit together. We're gonna hang out. Okay.
Game on.
So, but also you were talking about two things. You were talking about the Ignite conference. I'm looking forward to seeing you there and everybody else. And, you know, in my history, I've worked with companies. I've never missed a conference. And it's because of conferences like that, like literally our convention that we just had a few months ago at the end of January, I wouldn't be doing with IULs today if I didn't go to that conference with a plan to literally interrogate anybody I could find in a corner that was a top producer or a carrier rep about IULs. Like we had a list of questions and I was chasing people down to make them answer all the questions for me so I could figure this thing out. And so that will be the Ignite conference for me and all the people that are going to be attending if you have a plan in place. So I'm really excited for that. But also, just to think about it, you mentioned about graduating in 2002. You said that, I'm like, wow, you're old. And then I realized I also graduated in 2002. So thanks for bringing that up. But, you know, just thinking about like my sales career, and I know, you know, the same thing. It's like, I've knocked on doors. I've called out of the phone book. I've slept on my car to do employee presentations in the middle of February in Michigan so I could, you know, present to employees on a third shift. You know, just a couple of years ago, we're driving in homes, you know, dodging traffic, almost got into a fist fight in a house one time, got cussed out, you know, like almost lost got lost in the woods. This guy brought me back in the woods to his hut for final expense policy. And then like, here we are, right? Like my wife got me this little like desk air conditioner. And then if I get sick of standing, I push a button and my whole desk, you know, goes up. I run upstairs and throw the kids up. And then I'm talking to people about their retirement and they're throwing large sums of money in policies that I sell. And it feels like I'm not doing anything, you know, and I'm sitting here in my just nice, comfy environment. And the worst thing about my day is somebody no shows, so then I can go get a drink of water. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So just that's the 90-second of where we're at, you know?
It's good perspective.
Yeah, yeah. So very excited, needless to say.
So, okay, so let's make it simple and quick to get into the good stuff. So, you've run every type of lead. You've run every type of lead in person, every type of lead virtual, and so now, from a percentage standpoint, what amount of leads are you running that are IUL?
Yeah, probably 95% right now. So you know, so there a lot of ILC, you know, aged IULs, and then a few vendors on new stuff, and every once in a while, some, you know, a 5% is mortgage protection.
Got it. Okay. And
Right.
so that's come through time. That's come through building up a reserve, right? Because IULs don't issue as fast as simplified issued. So for the new agents out there, this is goal stuff, right? Where you're learning this, you know, in between your day dials and putting yourself in a position where you can, you know, get your bills paid with your simplified issued and then gearing up to become an elite, a top producer, putting out IUL type sales. Um,
Yeah. What I would just on piggyback on that, like coming from mortgage protection, it's IUL is a different game if you're going to get 100% into it. You know, mortgage protection, final expense, you're going out, you're hunting, you're getting a sale today, it's paying out in a couple of days, and then a percentage is going to fall off, right? We know that it is what it is. You have to manage that, manage your money, all that. That's the game. IUL, we talk about really high retention. We've had 2 IULs charged back this year since January. 2.
out of how many?
Um, 30-ish
Wow,
policies, 30
that's
more
awesome.
policies.
Yeah,
So obviously very high retention, but the game is different, right? You have the challenge on the front end, right? Because you have to talk to them, you got to get them a lot of times back on the phone, you have to get them through issuing, you know, you got to wait for that thing to pay, and that could be a time process, right? So like you said, I mean, if you're going to just jump into it, you either need to have some reserves or you need to ease into it.
got it. Okay. So from a lead standpoint, ILC's got leads. We've got I think Clever Closers coming out with a partner program. Nitro's been a great vendor of ours. Many people are working on trying to do them themselves, which is cool. And then I mean, we just want you to get leads, right? Why? Because I only have one Uncle Larry and one Aunt Judy. And after that, then I'm digging through referrals. And some of you are far more charismatic and skilled and have a bigger relationship with the church that I do. And I just don't have that. I mean, as gregarious and outgoing and C minus jokes I tell, my ability to cold prospect people for referrals is low, which is why I love FFL and why it made so much sense to me day one was that I could swipe my credit card and have interested people flood my inbox or flood my cell phone, and I could procure interested people. I think that rings true to you. And it's just like the way we run any business. You run a burger stand on the corner, you got to have either coupons in the parking lot, you got to be running radio ads, you got to have a sign above that says, you know, mention this sign, you get a free milkshake with every burger, and you've got to bring people into your restaurant, right? So we are a lead-based company, and for that, we are ability where we can scale our business at will. So now for you, just some clarity, you have a CRM, you have dialers, you have lead investment. Ballpark, what are you spending, say, a week on leads, just for people to get some clarity, and then what dialers, et cetera?
Yeah, I would say 3 grand, 2,500. A lot of weeks, 3 grand
Okay.
on leads alone, and then, you know, dialers and CRM. So lead comes in, it's getting dialed right away, it's getting texted right away. Um, you know, a lot of leads will book right away, and then some it takes 10, 12 calls, or, you know, triple dial, 12 dials and 12 texts, and then they go, oh yeah, yeah, about that, let me get on the schedule. So, you know, it's a machine, right? Leads go in the top, they fall at the bottom, and we're trying to get, you know, 8, 10, sometimes 12 appointments every single day, you know, 5, 6 days a week.
There we go. That's cool. Okay, so 8, 12, 5. Okay, so lead comes in. How many are self-booking on your calendar? If let's go with 10. Let's use 10, right? Is it 1 out of
Yeah.
10 will self-book, then 3 out of 10
I,
dialers
I
will
would
book?
say, yeah, I would say probably 3 or 4 will either self book or they'll message you back to book right away.
Okay.
Right? Like first message goes out, hey John, got your information about, you're looking more into IUL Index Universal Life. I'm the advisor here in Maryland, da 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 da, morning or afternoons, and they go afternoons, and then you book it and then you're on your way.
Okay.
So 3 or 4 are going to book, another 2 or 3, depending on what kind of lead type, are going to pick up the phone and book with you. Right. So if you're booking, I mean, if you have a brand new lead, like if you go to, I haven't used Clever Closers, but I know they've done great things in the past. So I'm looking forward to their IULs, Nitro leads, any brand new IUL lead that's been generated. If you're booking half of what comes in, like that's not crazy, and that's good. Now, on an age standpoint, if it's like a platinum, silver, gold IUL from an IULC, of course that's going to be a lot lower, but they're a lot cheaper too. So you can get just a more of a shotgun approach, and the same things are happening, but your ratios are going to be much lower.
Got it. Yeah, and I think that as I'm hearing from agents, as our companies quickly, completely shifting, I would say completely, is quickly shifting into IULs, is the IUL sale pitch talk is about create an awesome retirement, awesome retirement income versus the fear of losing your family, losing your home, fear-based sale. Yeah. And granted, there is living benefits with mortgage protection type sales. There's cashback options. There's IULs for mortgage protection based sales. But when you're talking to someone about the inequity of a 401k or the limits of an IRA, or how this thing what the benefits it has on top, I've got a bunch of money in my 401k from Integrity, which is great, right? But that money doesn't provide me living benefits. That money I don't have access to from a cash value standpoint without paying a fee. That money, I guess I get it back, but I do a Roth, so I pay taxes after. But there's limits on that money. Now, granted, I get a match, which is what you're kind of going up against with clients, is how much are you paying over your match, right? And that's something where you can take that extra money and put in an IUL. But to go for let's get a policy and again see if we can get you covered, that angle is such a more fun, exciting, like I'm focused on my future. This person's going to help me with my future, that everybody's getting older, right? Every person you talk to will be a day older. If you don't talk to them today, they'll be a day older tomorrow. And you're one prescription away, John, from becoming uninsurable. So let's get something submitted to the company today. So I love that angle, and why I think that IULs, we haven't gotten the most recent numbers, but I think it was 6 months ago, 3% of the company volume was IULs. And last month was nearly 19 million issue paid by FFL, which is, good job, Zach Twardowski. Thank you, brother, for your spirit. And then, but then thank you everybody else for being open-minded to moving into this direction. And that's what's so great, and to see guys like yourself. So, I want you to talk more. So I'm going to be more quiet.
All right.
But I'd love so we got leads, you spend some money, right? Do you need does everybody need to spend $3,000 a week? Not to start, but if you want to get to the levels Josh is at, he's investing a lot. And when you get to top producers, like there's no doubt in my mind, Josh will not be on stage in Dallas receiving a gold jacket. But at that $3,000 a week level, that's, what's the number? What's 3,000 times 52? It's about $156,000 of capital invested into his business to procure interested people. What's a million minus 156? It seems like a number Michelle will be very happy with. So
indeed. Indeed.
So in that mentality, right, that's the difference of people. Now, do you need to be at that level? No, but these are goals, guys. So you got to have goals to get to be able to spend that kind. And then also in the same transition, building up your skill set. So I'm going to pass it over to you. We've got leads, got, your process. Now let's get into some presentation type stuff. This is the meat and potatoes that differentiates you from most other people that are producing right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So first thing, like you said, it's a totally different conversation. It's all about, having a good process, systems. If you're going to be a good salesperson, the best salespeople, we hear them on this call every single week. They say the same things every single time. It is actually quite boring, because if you're saying different things every single time, you're getting different results every single time. So you go from a final expense mortgage protection. We're all taught, this kind of depressed, somber attitude. Okay, perfect. No matter what, we're just going to keep going. This is what we're going to do. And then you get to IULs, and there are these fun conversations where on a mortgage protection, we're always taught ask the golden question, and you ask it, and sometimes people go, "Why do you need to know that?" But now it's completely applicable, about your 401k, IRA, et cetera. And people are like dumping their information on you. And it's like so exciting that you're finding all this new information. So you're just having this like casual conversation. You're leaning back in your chair and you're like, yeah, John. And you kind of have this this trap that you just treat it as this more of a casual, fun conversation that it is, instead of having this like really, really rigid structure that you're, okay, here's what we're going to do today. And so in January, when we said, hey, we're really going to go out IULs, we just found ourselves like all over the place in the conversation. We get to the end of it, we haven't done an illustration, and we're hearing things like, hey, let me think about it and I'll get back to you. I'm like, we haven't even done anything yet. We've been on the phone for 15 minutes. What's happening? And we realize that you still have to set the table just the same as you would anything else. Here's what we're going to do today. That, like, if you're not doing that, stop doing that and, go back to what here's what we're going to do today. Now, you can do a 1-call close. You can do a 2-call close. I think either way works. I don't know that it matters too much. If you're doing a 1-call close, you're going to stay on the phone a lot longer. You're going to get a few more objections on the front end, more think about it's on the front end. I do appointments and I always do 2 calls. Part of that is because, a lot of us are building agencies. We got families, kids, and other things that we're trying to do. And I like to just compartmentalize my day. So when I have an appointment, it's appointment time. When I'm off an appointment, it's kid time or agency time or whatever the thing is, right? Also, I just like being prepared. Sometimes we're human, we're not robots. If you have 10, 12, 15 appointments in a day, Grady, if you ever, like, no matter what kind of appointment it is, it's like, I got this 3 o'clock, I don't feel like talking, these stupid people today. They're just going to say some dumb stuff. And you get on the call and you're like, oh, this is dumb. But if I might make 10 grand on this phone call, like, it's a whole lot easier to jump on the phone, right? You're a little more excited, a little more chipper. So I like appointments. And what I found, though, is it's a trade-off. I get very little objections. In fact, I probably close 90% of the people that get on the second call. So from the first call to the second call, right? You set the appointments, you set 10 appointments, more than half show, right? I have a pretty high show rate for telesales. So let's say 70% show on the first call. The first call is 12 to 15 minutes, no longer. Okay. And then on the second call, I would say maybe 60% of those show. So 40%, no show. Maybe something came up. Maybe they weren't really interested. They were just like making up scenarios. They don't really have the money. Who knows? But 90% that get on that second call, they do an application, right? And so my life is very easy. It's pretty stress-free when it comes to that. I'm not trying to, beat people over the head or come up with fancy lines to get them to do it today. And then from a new person standpoint, I just believe if somebody's brand new, like you haven't done IULs before, right? Do a 2-call close. We'll go into it. Set that second appointment and grab somebody, whoever is the nearest expert you are, and go, hey, can you help me build this illustration? Would you mind, jumping on the second call, closing it down with me? I'll split you in. And you can learn from somebody who's really, really, really good at what they do. If you're doing 1-call closes, you're just kind of like, you sink or swim, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, that's kind of a little bit of the setup. Julie asked, all on Zoom. No, I don't do any Zoom. We do crank wheel. I'll talk about that in a minute. It changed my life. Love it.
What are you asking on the first call to get yourself ready for the second call?
Yeah. So let's run through that. All right. So we get on the phone and, you have your intro, right? Like, hey, John, Josh, just calling for our IUL appointment. You want to jump into it because, like, all this, like we've always done this, right? Like, we're not sitting and talking and making friends. We're getting down to it, right? Hey, look, I see that you when you filled out the information, Grady, you put your goal down was to actually have a retirement and have a good life. What's that about? Tell me about that. Oh, they're going to say, oh, hey, yeah, I just, I haven't really done much. I'm 47. I figured, it's really time to get serious about it. Okay, cool. And I always ask, hey, have you watched any of the videos out there about IULs yet? Because a lot of times, maybe there's a reel and they fill out the ad. Maybe they've been, watching. I just want to know, do you know about this topic, or are we starting fresh? Right. And, yes, no. Okay, cool. Here's what we're going to do today. All right, Grady. So this is going to be a really short call, 12 to 15 minutes. I'm going to make sure you have a basic understanding of what this is about. Then I'm going to ask you some questions. This is an insurance contract. We want to make sure that there's nothing that's going to keep you from qualifying for one. So I'm going to have some health and financial questions. And I'm going to take some notes on it. And based on those notes, I'm going to leave you with some information when we hop off the phone here. But I'm going to do some homework and put together a spreadsheet. So when we can get back together and schedule a second call, you can have like an example of real world numbers, how this would look like in your scenario, your situation. How's that sound? Oh, yeah, that sounds great. All the pressure is off because they know we're not buying anything today. He's just taking notes. He's going to do some work for me. So now they're opened up to actually have a conversation with me. Okay.
It's awesome.
So then we jump into it. And this is like the first time in FFL where I felt like I'm actually giving a quote unquote presentation. So I have a very simplistic, like couple 4 or 5 points on what an IUL is. And so here we go, right? So this is exactly what I say. We jump into it. So, hey, Grady, so just so you have an understanding, here's kind of what this is. It's an insurance contract. It's a policy. You deposit money into it. A part of that money is going to go to cover a cost of insurance. You're going to get a survivor benefit. So if you die, your family gets money, and a living benefit. So if you have a sickness, illness, or injury, you can actually tap into that benefit money while you're living. Okay. Now, the rest of the money that you deposit is going to go into a savings account called cash value. It's going to earn interest and it's going to compound. All right. Now, have you ever put money into a 401k or an IRA? Yes, no. Okay, cool. So do you get a match?
Yes.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Yeah, definitely keep doing that. You can't turn down free money. So now we've uncovered they have a 401k. We're just making some notes on that. All right, so your 401k is in some kind of stock market, mutual fund portfolio. We all know the stock market goes up, you make money, stock market goes down, you lose money, right? In an IUL, it's not exactly that way. You can participate if the stock market goes up and earn a very good interest rate. But if it goes down, you actually get a guarantee that you're not going to lose any money. For instance, between the years of 2019 and 2021, the market did very, very well. Many of your IUL policies across many different companies, you would have earned 8, 10, even 12% interest in those years. But in 2022, it tanked. The market went down 20%. My IRA went down 20%. So if you had 100 grand in an account, now you have 80. Okay. But in an IUL, you might have earned 0 to 1% that year. You wouldn't have made a lot of money, but you wouldn't have lost any either. Does that make sense? Okay, awesome. Now, so that's kind of how the money and the interest is applied. Now, the money's going to grow tax deferred, and then when you get ready, you can take it out tax free. So have you ever tried to take money out of your 401k you said you had? Now, right there, about 40% of the time, people go, oh, yeah. And we already know what that's about, right? You paid taxes, you paid the penalty because most of the leads are under 59 and a half, right? And so right there, that's a sore topic. Okay. So they go, yeah, I took some money out. Okay, so you paid the penalty and the taxes. Yep. Okay. So right there, that's a huge benefit IUL. In fact, Grady, since you said you had one, I only say this if they say they have a 401k, your IUL is going to protect your 401k. Here's what I mean. Okay. So next time, if you have a financial emergency, instead of getting penaltied and taxed to death when you go and take money out of your 401k, don't do that. Leave it there. Tap into your IUL so you can leave your 401k ready for retirement. In addition to that, you remember 2008, how tough that was, right?
Yeah.
Market tanked almost 50%. It was crazy. I had friends of mine, their grandparents, they went to retire, had $1 million in the bank account. All of a sudden, now they have 600 grand. They have to live off that money. They ran out of money. Okay, so if that happens to you, we're talking today, so you're going to be able to lean on your IUL. So let's say that happens, right? You stop taking money out of your 401k in that year, you take money out of your IUL. So now you actually have time for the market to rebound, and then you can take money out of your 401k again when the market is good. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of the idea of what this is. All right. So if I may, I'm just going to rattle off some questions, both health and financial related, just to take some notes on it. All right. So that's my whole pitch on what is an IUL. Now we're into the financial inventory. Right. So I'm going to do a full financial inventory, ask all the health questions.
What questions might they have right there? And I mean, it was fantastic. And Jamie, thank you for dropping the notes in the chat too to get Josh's 5 points. Make sure you guys screenshot that. But what if any questions they have right there? Are they usually just kind of like, this sounds awesome? Like it's
Yeah,
just,
they're just going along for the ride. That,
oh,
very few times have questions. They might say their questions they're going to have is like, how much do I have to put in? Oh, yep, definitely. Let's jump into that.
okay,
Or what's, it's going to be so basic or none,
or none.
right? And the idea is like, look, we get on a call like this and we say, we talk about MEX and floors and indexes and capital preservation and all these fancy words, right? Like the goal is to take complex things, which IUL really is like a complex instrument, and make it simple, right? These are average people. We talk about it all the time. They're savers, not investors. A lot of them are blue collar, right? Some of my biggest policies are truck drivers. These are not fancy, people in the sense of like, they're poring over financial statements all the time, right? And so just talk to them normal, and oh, it goes up, it goes down, it's guaranteed, like that's the whole deal there. So very few questions.
Okay.
So we get through the medical stuff. We all know the medical questions to ask. What has been exciting me is really diving into the financial questions. And I don't know how everybody else does it. I know, we all ask some form of like, how much money do you want to put in? And we've tweaked the questions and how we ask them. And, if you ask better questions, you get better answers, right? So, a couple months ago, we had asked, well, how much do you think you can put in? And that's a lazy question, so you get a lazy answer. I don't know. Show me 500.
Yeah.
Now, they didn't say I can pay 500. They just said, show me 500. And then you get to the end and you're closing out the application doing banking, and they go, oh, I don't have that money. And you're like, how did we even get here? Stupid. So here's some better questions, right? So, all right, Grady, listen, like we said, your goal was to maximize your retirement, not to buy a whole bunch of life insurance, right? And so what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you financial history questions, and we're going to take the money that you have to set aside, maximize, and grow it as much as possible. Okay. So I'm going to ask a couple questions this way, and think about your budget on a monthly basis on your very worst months when the tires are falling off the car and nothing's going right. What would be the absolute minimum amount that you think you could set aside to save and grow for your retirement? Okay. Now, on the flip side of that, when everything's going right, if you really pushed yourself, knowing that the more you put in, the more you get out, what would be the absolute most per month that you think you could set aside to grow your retirement in a policy like this? What would that be? And then you get
500,
all kinds of
500
different
and
answers.
1,000. Okay.
500 to 1,000. So here's the interesting thing. I want to pause right there for a second. A lot of times you get 300 to 600, 500 to 1,000, like whatever the thing is. Doesn't matter what it is. I'm just taking notes. Sometimes you'll get some crazy stuff like 300 and 6,000. Like what? That's usually a self-employed person, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So right away, the next question is let's go with that for a minute. I had this guy, he goes, the minimum is 300, the maximum is 4,000. I'm like, bro, okay. So tell me about that. We can't predict the future, but great. How many of the months last year, if we look at it as a percentage, was like the 4,000, and how many was like the 300? Because obviously, you said you're self-employed, you don't know exactly how it's going to play out. Oh, well, actually, last year, 9 months was like the 4,000. Okay. Okay, cool. So I'm doing some quick math. 9 times 4, that's 45,000 a year. All right. And I'm not even worried about the little $300. So, okay, 45,000. So right now I'm like, dude, that's a big policy. All right. So, all right, very good. Now, also, there's 2 types of money that people put into these kinds of accounts. Sometimes it's lump sum money. This could be from an old, investment account, IRA, 401k. Maybe you get a bonus at the end of the year. Your business is cyclical, so you get some kind of contract because your business is seasonal, something like that. And of course, monthly contributions like we just talked about. So a lot of times I talk to my clients and they say, I can foresee different financial situations coming up over the next year or two where I would have extra cash flow that I would want to put in. All right. So, and again, it could be any of the things I just mentioned, or it could be, in October, you're going to pay off your car or your credit card and you're going to have extra cash flow and you want to set some of that aside. Can you foresee any situations like that in your life over the next 1 to 2 years? And we weren't asking that, and we would just get our 500 to 600 or whatever. And I started asking that, and you get, oh yeah, every single year I get a $10,000 bonus. Can I put that in there? Yeah. Or now, obviously, we're not going to put in a 401k or an IRA into an IUL, but they go, well, yeah, I got an old IRA. What can I do with that? Oh, okay. Make a little note. Yeah, we got this other. We got a cousin to an IUL called an FIA, fixed index annuity. Has that same word index. It works the same way. See how that works? Oh, okay, cool. We're just taking notes. We're taking notes. And so let's say they have a $10,000 bonus, or, you know, there are all kinds of crazy things that'll come up. And what you're looking for, you want to be a good agent. We're not just creating these policies for a hope and a prayer that life gets better, right? Because we all do that as salespeople.
Yeah.
I hope I make more money next year, right? But we don't know. What I'm looking for is plottable data on a calendar. Yes, in October, my car is paid off and I have an extra $500, right? My least amount of bonus. I had a lady says I get a $10,000 to $20,000 bonus every single year. What's the worst bonus you've ever gotten? 8,000. Okay, cool. Let's not use all of it because you got stuff to do. Let's say 3 or 4,000. How does that sound? Okay, and just we just taking notes. We work that into the equation, right? And all of a sudden we have a policy that went from maybe $300 a month. Now it's $800 a month. Now it's $800 a month plus another $10,000 a year, and we've uncovered this, right? And so when we come back and show them the solution, we're taking all the things, because I can't tell you how many times, whether it's IULs or mortgage protection, where I sold them the easy thing, to come back and find out a month later, some other agent sold them something 3 times more expensive. And I'm like, why didn't we do that? And they're like, well, because you didn't tell me. You didn't show me the big numbers. Show me the big numbers, right?
Yeah.
So just adding those extra questions in the fact finding, you'll double your sales tomorrow, I promise. Okay.
That's awesome.
So
So,
go ahead.
well, so that was amazing. So you're dissecting, you're actually acting like a planner, acting someone that's trying to construct something and trying to maximize the deposit because it's going to reap the greatest benefit for them down the road, which we'll get into. Are you before that? So financial questions, are you, aside from just asking what's the worst month and the best month, are you in anywhere asking their annual income and then digging into
Yeah.
some expenses and whatnot? Is that just kind of part of your help?
So yeah, I mean, we've gone through that in the financial inventory. It's on the financial inventory. So I'm asking, do you own or rent? Do you have any current life insurance that you own outside of work? What's your annual income? If they're self-employed, I'm going to dig a little deeper and say, is that normal? Is that your best year, worst year? I don't break down their specific budget because they're going to tell me, right? They're going to tell me, and I think sometimes as agents we can talk ourselves out of sales. So it's like maybe they have a really big budget and they don't want to put as much, and yeah, maybe you say, hey, you can do more, but then also like sometimes people have money all kinds of different places, and they might only tell you about their main budget, and then you're like, dude, I don't know if I want to sell this person a policy, and then to find out like they just inherited 300 grand from their mom. You know what I mean? So like, I'm just asking. I just want to just tell me, because the more they talk, the more they want to talk, and you'll find out just so many different things. And I mean, I haven't sold a lot of annuities until I started doing IULs, because people are just telling you where everything's at, And so yeah, no, so yeah, we do ask income. I don't break down the budget.
Okay. So you get you get a minimum maximum, and then you get to that point, bonuses, etc. How are you, is it, and then what are you asking before you close out the first call and then make them salivate so they make sure they
Yes.
for the second?
So I promised them, and here's the thing. So if you just show up on the call and you go, hey, what you got? Tell me about this, tell me about that. They're gonna be closed off. They're not like, so in sales, we're just master communicators, right? So it's like, I give you something, you give me something. I make you a promise, you make me a promise. So I promise you some information. So hey Grady, listen, I'm going to send you some information right now, which in our CRM we've made a kind of a we used to have the FIA benefits. We have one for IULs, And so, hey, I just sent you a website. You can read, watch, and listen more about IULs. Okay. So we're going to reschedule a call. I'm going to pull up my calendar here in a second. Is that something that you can make sure just to listen to a little bit more until we get together next time? So I'm going to do some homework to put this spreadsheet together. I just want to make sure you have something too. Is that okay? Okay, perfect. All right. So again, with everything that you've given me, I'm going to go ahead and put this together. And then so next time, we're going to be able to look together exactly how the numbers are going to play out, what it's going to look like for retirement, how much money you're going to have at your disposal, how much tax-free income that you're going to have to be able to live on. All right. So I pull up my calendar, we agree on a time, and I say, hey, now can you make sure that when we get back Tuesday at 1, that you're in a good place to be able to be watching your screen. You're not going to be on camera, but you need to be on your phone, desktop, laptop. So when I share the document, you can actually see the numbers along with me. Can you be in a good spot at that point? So I'm just, like we've always done, trying to lock down the appointment, repeating the times, sending them a text confirmation, doing all the things, right? So they have their information and I have mine. Now, what's cool about that is if you're going to go all into IULs, there's something that FFL, we have done a terrible job. And if you're going to be full-time in IULs, you have to change it right now. And that's that scary word, follow-up. You just have to be prepared to do it. So, in my CRM on my big board right here, I have probably 20 deals. The smallest one is 8,000. The biggest one is 100,000 that I am following up with from the first call to the second call because, stuff happened. You know what I mean? And it's for no particular reason. Sometimes the timing wasn't right. Sometimes a kid's soccer game messed up our appointment and the person's super busy. The more money they have, the busier that they are. So you just have to be prepared to do that. And if you're not, like we get very much like we just want the next hit of a policy so we can get our 2K in 2 days. And it's just a different game. So yes, you're going to have to do more follow-up. It is what it is.
Awesome. Okay.
All right.
Agreeing on a time, booking the calendar, let the drips do their job, send the link that's got a couple videos and some information so that they've got some homework. I love that. Give them some homework and then book a BAM fam.
Yeah, exactly. So somebody just said, is spreadsheet different from an illustration? No, actually, I got the privilege of to meet and talk to one of the best IUL agents that I've ever had the privilege of meeting. You might know him, Grady. And I picked up all these little word tracks. Spreadsheet, again, it means illustration, but illustration's an industry term. We have all these industry terms that we know what they means, but Sally, who works as a medical assistant, she doesn't know what all this stuff is. And yeah, you're just talking in language that they understand, and people get that.